So these next 2 weeks are going to go by pretty quick. I know you have a lot of stuff in your other classes as well. That's just kind of how the end of the semester is. Just a reminder, your next unit test, our last unit that we're starting today, is December 7th. Your EOC, it should be December 10th and 11th or 11th, 12th. They haven't told me exact dates yet. So that's coming up. And then your final exams are right after that. Okay, cool. So it's quick. We also have a performance exam. I'm going to introduce that today, and then you'll have time to do it in class as well as at home. Majority of it's going to be done at home though. It's not super bad. It's kind of like the last performance exam that we had, kind of similar, except we were dealing with stats. Okay, so that's coming up. So don't give up on your grade yet. You still got a lot more to do. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking. All right, on number 19, it says, look at the table of values for the two linear functions. What is the solution to f of x equals g of x? What is the solution to f of x equals g of x? So what is this question actually asking? Well, the solution, yeah. But what is f of x equal g of x actually meaning? When are they the same? So looking at the column that's f of x and looking at the column that's g of x, what number do they both share? -2. And you said 3. Are we sure about 3? So on the other side, they've got the 3 as x equals 3. So our solution would be x equals 3. Does that make sense? So it's look at what your y value is. And if it's the same, then it's whatever the x value is. Okay? So it's kind of like asking, when do both of these equal? Okay? On number 20, it says, each week, Tim wants to increase the number of sit-ups he does daily by 2 sit-ups. The first week, he does 15 sit-ups each day. Write an explicit function in the form f of n equals mn plus b to represent that function. So we're going to say f of n equals how many sit-ups is he doing more each week? 2. So we're going to say 2 times the number of weeks plus, how many did we start with? Daily. Say daily. Oh, I'm so sorry. Take it back. Y'all gotta stop. Okay, so we're doing 2 times the number daily. Okay, and that first week we did 15. Okay, so that means that in 7 days we did 15 sit-ups, right? How many do we start with initially on that first day? Okay, so we got 7 days and we're going up by 2 each day, right? So what's 7 times 2? 14. So how many did we start on the first day? 1. So here's our equation. Thank you, Sebastian, for catching that. We are on our last unit of Algebra 1. Yay! But it just so happens to be the introduction to geometry. Okay, so this is your first preview of what geometry is going to be like. Now, that being said, though, this is majority algebra based, but it still has algebra. So you know that slope is rise over run. That's something that you learn in 6th grade. You learn that slope is, this is what we call the change in y. And if I write it on the board, you're writing it on your paper, over the change in x. And again, here's your slope formula that you've known since 6th grade. So this is all about slope. Remember, slope is that change in the function. It's how it's increasing or decreasing. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have lines that are negative reciprocals. So let's go ahead and have this discussion. If I have the same slope, that means that the numbers are going to be the same. So like 2 for a slope for a function It's also going to be 2 for the slope of another function. A negative reciprocal. A reciprocal means that you're flipping the fraction. So for instance, 2 flipped as a fraction is going to be 1/2. Well, how does that make sense? Remember, 2 has a denominator of 1. We just don't write it out like that because we want to write it shorthanded. So this would be a negative reciprocal of the number 2. Another example of this would be like negative 3/4. The negative reciprocal of this would be positive 4/3. So notice how I flipped the fraction and I changed the sign. So that's what that means. The negative reciprocal. Now, we have seen some different types of forms for linear functions. So with that being said, you've got slope-intercept form. This is the one that we learned first. M is the slope and B is the y-intercept. This is the easiest one to kind of pick out what the slope is, right? Slope is always going to be the one that's attached to the x. All right, now point slope. M is still going to be the slope. And x1, y1 is going to be a point. So notice how it says point slope form. If something is written out, guys, if something is written out like this slope, you can identify it. Okay, again, slope is just going to be whatever is attached to that x. Now, standard form is where it gets a little tricky. You need to rewrite it in slope-intercept form to find the slope. Okay, if you don't remember what slope is or how to find it, we're going to do a little recap. So on the graph, draw where the rise and the run are, and then determine the rise and the run and the slope of the line. Okay, so on here, we have this point to this point. How much did we go up by? 2. Okay, so we got 2 here. So we did rise of 2. Now run is going to be where we go to the right and go to that point. So how far over did we go? 4. So we went over 1, 2, 3, 4 to meet that point, right? So our run is 4. So we went up 2 and over 4. Does everybody see where I got that? Okay, so slope is rise over run. So we're going to say 2 over 4. Can we simplify that fraction? Yes, we can divide things by 2 in the top and the bottom. And so that's going to give me 1/2. Now look and see where the y-intercept is. Where does it cross the y-axis? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 2. So if we wanted to write out this equation, we would say y equals 1/2 x plus 2. This is our slope, and this is our y-intercept. So what would be a line that is parallel to this line? So again, we got y equals 1/2 x plus 2, right? If I were writing a parallel line, I would need to have the same slope. I would have y equals 1/2 x plus some other number. So let's say 6. That would be a parallel line. If I wanted to write a line with a perpendicular slope, then it would have to have the negative reciprocal. So if I take the number 1/2, or the fraction 1/2, and I want to make it into a negative reciprocal, I'm going to flip the fraction. So that's going to be 2 over 1. And I'm going to put a negative out front. So this slope would be -2. And so you could write an equation, y equals -2x plus whatever number you want to get. All right, so let's go ahead and try to identify whether they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Parallel is going to be represented by this little symbol right here. Perpendicular is this symbol right here. And then neither is going to be this little X. Okay. Looking at these two equations, they have the same slope, or are they negative reciprocals? They're the same. And if they have the same slope, they are parallel. In geometry, which is basically what this unit is, okay, you have to know what the symbols mean. They use a lot more symbols. So if you can pick up these few symbols that we're going to learn in this unit, geometry is going to be a lot easier. Okay. So this is parallel. On the next one, are these negative reciprocals of each other, or are they the same? Negative reciprocals. So these are perpendicular. What about the next one? So are they the same? No. Are they negative reciprocals?
No.
Nope. They're negative, so like they're opposite signs, but that's it. So this is going to be neither. Okay, so here's where it starts to get a little tricky. When it's not in the same format. So what you have to do first is rewrite it in y equals mx plus b form. So looking at this top one, this one's not in y equals mx plus b, but the second one is. So we need to move this 2x to the other side by subtracting, and that would give us y equals negative 2x plus 3. So now, are these the same, or are they negative reciprocals? They're the same, so that's going to be parallel. Can you take a moment and can you do E, F, G, H? You must put it in y equals mx plus b form first before you start messing with it. Okay, try those next ones. Okay, so on the next one, we've got to have this written out in y equals mx plus b form. So move the 2x to the other side. That would be y equals negative 2x plus 4. Is that the same slope? Yes, so that's parallel. On the next one, they're not the same. Are they negative reciprocals? Yes, so perpendicular. On the next one, we can kind of already see that it's going to have the same slope, but if you want to rewrite this in y equals mx plus b form, you can. So this would give me, for the first one, 5y equals negative 3x plus 15. I would divide by 5, so y equals negative 3/5 x plus 3. On that next one, I would get y equals negative 3x divided by 5 plus 10 divided by 5, which would be 2. These have the same slope, so they're parallel. Again, since you see these are both the same, then it's going to be the same slope, or you can just go ahead and put it in y equals mx plus b. On the next one, are they negative reciprocals? No, there is no negative or different sign between those two, so they're neither. Okay. The next one's a little tricky to see. If we look at our slopes, are they negative reciprocals of each other? Yes. On the next one, are they the same, or are they negative reciprocals? Neither, because one's positive, one's negative, but they're not flipped fractions. Okay, so now if you're asked to write an equation of the line, okay? If you're asked to write an equation, you're going to have to use one of the forms that we had up at the top. Okay, so we had slope-intercept, point slope, and then standard form. Right here, tell me what two pieces of information they give you in number 3. It's parallel. What else do they tell you? Okay, so it's parallel. Slope is 5. What else do they tell you? And they give you a point that's located here. So which form, slope-intercept, point slope, or standard, include these two words, slope and point? Which form includes that? Point slope. So we're going to use the formula that is point slope. So that's this. Go ahead and write that on your paper. And they tell us that the slope is 5. And this point right here is going to be x1, y1. So all we're going to do is take the information that they gave us and plug it in. So we're going to have y minus 2 equals 5 times x minus 7. And that's it. Looking at the next one. What information did they tell us? They want us to write a equation that is perpendicular, and they tell us what information? Slope and a point, right? So we're going to use point slope form. So we're going to do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Thanks. Okay. Now, if we want something to be perpendicular, what does it need to be? The negative reciprocal, right? So what's the negative reciprocal of 3/7? So flip the fraction and change the sign. Negative 7/3. Okay. So now we're going to plug in the information that we got. So we get y minus 2 equals negative 7/3 times x minus 7. So again, that negative reciprocal, I plugged in for m. All right, let's check your work. This is what I would have gotten.
I got it.
All right, check what you got. Are there any questions about what you got versus what I got? Now remember, since it says parallel, that means it's going to be the same slope. Okay. My question to you, why is this +4 and not -4? Because what? Well, the x is negative, right? Okay. So in our original function, remember there are negatives already in our equation. So this has this negative already chilling right here. So when we plug in a -4, that's going to make it positive. Okay. Cool. Good job. All right. Number 6. Go ahead and take a moment. Try number 6. Okay. So on the next one, it says write the equation of the line that is perpendicular to a line with a slope of -4 that contains this point. Okay. So if I'm doing perpendicular, I'm going to change this to a negative reciprocal. So I'm going to flip it, and that's going to be 1/4. It's now going to be positive. And then now I'm going to write the equation. So I've got y plus 3 equals 1/4 times x plus 8. Again, where these pluses come from is the original function or original formula. Okay, where there's already negatives in that equation. Okay, questions on that? All right, now specialty is a type of lines. There's always one that they throw at you on this. So all horizontal lines are parallel to each other. So the equation for that is going to be y equals any number. All vertical lines are parallel to each other. The equation will be x equals any number. All horizontal and vertical lines are perpendicular. Okay, so on this next one, we're going to write an equation to the line parallel to y equals 5. Okay, so if it's parallel, guys, if it's parallel, it's going to contain this point 3/7. And so parallel is going to be whatever this y value is. We're going to say y equals 7. If it said perpendicular, we would say x equals 3. It says write an equation that's perpendicular. So perpendicular is going to be x equals, and we want to contain this point, so it's going to be x equals 3. Any questions over that? On the next page, this is kind of where we start moving into real geometry. This is actually what you would use these things for. Okay. So yes, it's introduced in algebra, but you will see this in geometry. And so I just kind of wanted to show you what that looked like. Now, since you have you have 4 different dots, you could find the slope of all of these lines. And then you would have to know the properties of a parallelogram, which you'll learn that all in geometry. So we'll come back to this a little bit later. Go ahead and flip the page one more time. On this page, in each box, I want you to determine whether it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, so you're gonna write the word parallel, perpendicular, or neither in each one of these boxes. I'm gonna give you about 15 minutes to finish this one. And then we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna do just a few of these. So, okay, if it has the same slope, it's gonna be parallel. Negative reciprocal is perpendicular, and then neither one of those is neither. So first we have to have them in y equals mx plus b form. So we're gonna move this guy over, and that's gonna give us y equals 2x plus 12. Since these have the same ones, this is gonna be parallel. Okay, again, the symbol for parallel is 2 double lines. Okay, on this one right here, we have negative reciprocals of each other, so this is gonna be perpendicular. The symbol for that is right there. Questions on those two? Okay. Let's go down. So the first one was parallel, the second one was perpendicular. On the next one, this one's a little tricky, but they are negative reciprocals of each other. So this is going to be perpendicular. If you're ever unsure, perpendicular creates a 90-degree angle. It'll look like an X on your paper. So if you wanted to graph them, you could. So that way you could see that they're perpendicular to each other. On the next one, again, you have to put that in y equals mx plus b form. So if we move that 4x to the other side and then divide by 8, this is going to give me negative 1/2 x plus 2. Those have nothing in common, so this is going to be neither. I want to talk about I, because a lot of people make a mistake on this one. Any horizontal or vertical line, so this guy is horizontal, this one is vertical. Any line that is written like this, those are going to be negative reciprocals. Those are going to be perpendicular. So if it says like y equals a number, that's going to be a horizontal line. Well, if it says x equals a number, that's going to be a vertical line. Again, if you're not sure, you can graph them and you'll see that it creates that 90-degree angle. Okay, you're going to find the title performance exam quarter 2, fall 2023. Make sure that you're doing the right one. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you are a scout and you're trying to pick somebody for your basketball team. Okay, so you're going to find the mean, median, mode, etc. Okay, for him, and then you're going to create or answer these kind of questions. You're going to do all slides 1 through 18. Okay, you'll follow this all the way along. Okay, you'll fill in all this data. I mean, you just kind of follow it as it's going along. This is all from last unit. Okay, so you should be able to do this. If you don't know some of these terms, we can kind of talk through those. But for the most part, this is a little self-explanatory. Until you get to about slide 16, you might have a little bit of trouble. So I would like for you right now to go ahead and start working on slides 1 through 10. Okay, so make sure that A, you can log in, and B, you can get to this and you understand what's going on. Okay, So go ahead and take a couple minutes.